Life over the last year has looked a lot like this and this, but it's also sort of looked like this and this. Well, for me, I absolutely love smartphones. I love using them. I love reviewing them. This is a tech channel after all, and I don't really have any plans to not use or review them, but I also do have this constant tug to disconnect once in a while. As long as I can remember, I've sort of struggled with screen time between my time spent on games, social media, and simple things like just checking the analytics for my YouTube channel multiple times an hour. While I don't really have any plans to deprive myself of the technologies I find most interesting, over the last while at least I have been using a lot of dumb phones or minimalist devices to help have a better balance with technology, and for me I do find myself going back to my Mudita Kompakt. It's weird to see a phone literally meant to be used less, but it's actually just gotten better with time since its original launch, which makes this more palatable for some people on the edge for using a device like this. And while Mudita did originally provide this Kompakt for a project we worked on previously, as well as today's video, I actually personally bought my own Mudita Kompakt, which I have kept on the original launch software for the times I truly do wish to disconnect and go a little bit more bare bones. Where the original launch software made this a little bit more restrictive, the updates it's received over the last year has made this device more realistic for people that might actually want to swap to a minimalist device, whether that be permanent or temporarily, especially since it is 2026 and the world is a much different place compared to when flip phones ruled the marketplace. In this case at least, it can be as dumb or as smart as you need it to be while still remaining intentional because of the e-ink display. Now the last year has showed me a healthy balance of smart and dumb in this case, and instead of constantly caving in and defaulting back to my smartphone, I'm happy Mudita has brought sideloading to the Kompakt, since it has changed my ability or at least willingness to stick with this device more frequently and for longer periods of time. While sideloading is easy enough, having to do it through my computer adds the perfect amount of friction that I'm not really app-loading my phone. Maybe it's something as simple as adding a different minimal launcher, while still being able to get what I need, which is a nice departure from constantly being able to just delete and easily re-download all those distracting apps on my iPhone. For me at least, sideloading looks a little bit closer to daily utility since this is still technically an Android device. As somebody who's gotten heavier into reading over the last year and a half, I've grown accustomed to using Core Reader as my go-to e-reader, although the native ebook app is still sufficient, but in this case familiarity does win for me since it is easy enough to get on here. I can say as well, I am one of those weirdos that will read a book and then listen to the audiobook to catch up to the point I've read to, specifically for the times when I'm doing something like exercise or if I'm stuck in traffic. While I could probably pretend to be all one with my thoughts and sit in silence and stuff, it's not really something I do, and I figured I'd just be realistic with how it's looked for me over the last while using this, and yet it does still feel intentional enough for me, and I'm okay with that. Naturally as well, a phone being a phone, staying connected with people looks a little bit different on here, if not a tad slower. E-ink displays are beyond incredible for reading. It's definitely easier on the eyes, but messaging can be a test of patience, which again has improved since launch with some keyboard updates, making things a little bit easier and more responsive. And sure, using Gboard or voice dictation does speed things along. I find myself simply picking up the phone to call my wife or family since it is still easier than texting, and it's always nice to hear a voice on the other end a little bit more often. For the times I am messaging though, the glory of sideloading allows me to get things like WhatsApp on here for my group chat, or something a little bit more wild like iMessage since I am an avid Apple user. From a media standpoint, music is literally a huge part of who I am as a person, and the native music app has seen some improvements that originally broke my heart when missing on launch. Now at least I do have playlists, and of course I can search through media folders for artists or albums, which does make this a little bit more realistic for people who really do love their music and organization. As somebody who just got their first high fidelity player as well, this does carry my full vinyl library in a digital format, which is easy enough to swap to my Kompakt thanks to the micro SD card slot. And again, because I refuse to be on a high horse about how I truly use this, there's a lot of times where I simply do just throw on a pair of Bluetooth headphones or speakers and literally just use Apple Music simply because it's convenient and it's something that I enjoy using. Likewise, I do find myself lucky enough to have GPS in my car, but having recently added turn-by-turn navigations to the maps, this can cover me for the times that I am navigating on foot otherwise. Still, as much as a utility-based or minimalist device is incredible to have, sometimes I do still give myself permission to Doomscroll on something like my iPad or laptop, since I can just hotspot my Kompakt to another device for the times I really do need to. In the opposite direction though is the offline plus mode, which I do find myself using a lot before bed, or for the times I truly do just want to disconnect. What this does at least is that it cuts off the cellular modem at a hardware level, giving full disconnection and full privacy. There's no camera, there's no microphone, there's no Wi-Fi, and of course, no distractions. With all this, of course, even with all the added bells and whistles that I've added to my smart dumb phone, the battery here simply persists. Not that I've ever really truly had battery anxiety for my devices, but really just not having to think about it at all is a whole other thing, and it's nice to have a phone that can last 5 days if not more. And of course, when I do need to charge up, it is easy enough with wireless charging or just plugging it in through Type-C, which is still simple at its core. I will say though, as somebody who absolutely loves videography and photography, adapting to the camera on here does take a good chunk of time, and of course maybe a little bit of patience, being that you are viewing through an e-ink screen, and the simple fact is that it's not the strongest camera. Still, while it is mostly here for the odd receipt or something abstract, in this case you really are just mostly capturing a memory versus the photo, as pretentious as that sounds, so I am still happy it's there. And easily enough, over the last year the Kompakt has become a staple for me, being that it's smart enough with the modern necessities like banking, or distraction free enough for just my basics like throwing on a music album front to back. And truth be told, it can actually be pretty difficult. It can be hard to just slow down, to take a breath, to let a week or two pass until the flinch to reach for your smartphone goes away. At that point though, it's hard not to feel the benefits, the clarity of simply slowing down and being okay living a slower pace. And of course for me, it's always a juggle between loving the latest tech and knowing when to step back from it at the same time. It could be difficult to giving myself the time to have some brain rot intentionally, but to also pay attention to what and who matters most and where my time could and should be going. There's no real formula to any of this. There's no rules to using a more simplistic device. It purely comes down to the way you live and how you want to spend your time. And for me, again, that could be using my Kompakt for a weekend, an afternoon, entire week maybe, and sometimes I'm using it for months at a time. Naturally as well, I don't think I'll ever really be able to master this balancing act, especially with my passions for tech, but the Mudita Kompakt at least makes that balance a little bit more realistic.
I'm looking for my baby. Oh, yes, I am. I said